Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joe's Classic Video Games, back with another cool pinball repair video for you this evening. We've been working on this Williams Pinbot for the last couple videos, and we've got it back up and running, but it's got some issues that need addressed. So one of them is this visor up here. It doesn't go all the way down. This doesn't rise straight. It's sticking up a little bit right now. So we got to mess with the visor a little bit. Now, whenever we finally got it to come back to life earlier, we're working on this for a customer. This little piece popped out of one of the saucers up there and came tumbling down the playfield, so that may have something to do with it. But we're going to check it out. I've worked on these before, and there's some kind of little linkage at the back that makes that lay down flat, so we need to figure out what's going on with that. That'll be the first thing we do. So to get to it, though, I need to take off this ramp. So I'm gonna take the. I think I can leave this shield on and just take the ramp with these screws. I think it's these two, and then that one for sure, and that might get it. So I'm gonna start taking it apart and see if we can get down to the back side of that and see why that won't lower properly. Okay, so I loosened up the ramp. I did have to take those back three off because of the three posts. And it's just kind of binding. Now, the reason that it's not completely flat is because this side of this carriage is lower than that side. Right? It doesn't necessarily have to touch it. It just needs to look right. Okay? So, whenever I mess with it, you can kind of see that it's not, things are flexing, and it's just not quite how it's supposed to be. So I'm going to secure this back. Whenever we get under it, I'll unplug it so we can take that all the way off. But there's something under it that it's just, something's not quite right. It's not in there quite right, or it's catching something on the bottom, or something or the other. Okay, so you can see as the door moves, there is a linkage that moves the top piece. You can see how it gets stuck in the up position and something's not quite right. But when it comes down, it hits this little screw here, which determines how low it sits. Okay, so you can see this one. Okay. And then on this other side, from the bottom, it looks like they're the same length, but they're different screws. So this one is just barely sticking out. So what that means is whenever it drops the door, it allows the door to come down way farther on this side than it does on this side. And so it just sits in there crooked. The linkage, we've got the door up, the door up now. I'm not sure where it's binding. It must be actually physically on the top it's hitting. On the top it's hitting something. Okay, so to get the door more straight, I'm going to raise this side just a little bit. And I'm going to lower this side because whenever it's down, it's down too far. So I want to get it where whenever it's down, this side's sticking up too far. So I'm going to lower this screw, and I'm going to raise this one a little bit because it's down a little bit too low. So I'll readjust those a little bit, and then I'm going to lay it back down, and we'll see. I think that visor, it must be on the top, because down here nothing's binding. See it? There's a little piece of plastic in there that's bent. That's our problem. We need to get in there and mess with that face plastic. Okay. Okay, and I lowered it a little bit too much. So there's a lip. You don't want a lip. So it should go back up. We'll see if the visor goes all the way down. It's saying, shoot my eyes. Okay, so that's the visor problem. It's a broke piece of plastic in there, so we'll get in there and mess with that. It was just bent out of the way so that the visor was hitting it when it went down. And I'll raise those two. I'll turn those two screws in just a little bit more to raise it up just a little bit more. And you just want it to be about level with the playfield when the ball rolls over it. You have a problem if it's slightly below. Not only does it chip up all the paint, or if it's slightly too high, it won't chip up the paint. But when the ball ejects out of the hole, it's not going all that fast. It just goes, and it kind of rolls down here, and it'll get stuck if there's any kind of little ledge. So you need to be nice and smooth. So I'll adjust it a little bit more, and we need to take actually this off so we can get to the face down underneath it. So here is his face according to Python Angelo. And you can see basically what's happened was somebody cut a piece of plastic to replace the broken one. These break all the time because when the ball pops out of there, or it's on the door and hits it, or you just hit it with a good shot and it bounces off something, these get all cracked up. And so somebody's printed just a piece of paper to go over a plexiglass one that somebody made. And the little pieces are moving all over the place, causing us trouble. Alright, so I'm going to take it off and see what we can do. Give me sight. We're trying to, Pinball. Okay, so the original plastic face was down inside of it, and the reason that people swap them out is because these front pieces get broke. Whoop. These front pieces get broke, and they get scratched up and all that. But here's the problem. That other one was worse than this one. Now, they make reproductions of these from time to time. They're not particularly licensed, okay? They're illegal. It's bootleggers. And none of my favorite bootleggers are bootlegging them right now. So you can't get one right now. So we're going to use the old one. Now you could just cut one and do like they did. I think what I'll do, since there's a little bit of the art missing here, I think I'll put the paper that they made under it to kind of fill in a few places that the art's not right. And then we'll put some larger washers on it to kind of hold it in place. And that'll just have to do for now. It's just a cosmetic thing whenever the face lifts, the visor lifts up anyway. I went into Coil Test and I tested all of the flashers. Every flasher in the game is working. Can you believe it? After we fixed them last time. But this one coil here is sticking. See how that little bar is up and that one's not? That's some kind of physical thing though. It's just the plunger underneath is messed up, so we'll mess with that too. But the lights all work, so we're ready to put the face back on it. Okay, so here is the left eye eject, and it's nice and snappy. You can't really see it up in there, but you can hear it. This one, there's a spring that goes on it, but it just doesn't really move all that great. It's kind of sticking, even without the spring. The spring would, of course, make it move more. But I'm going to actually oil it. I'm going to just oil the pivot points. It's also, just the way they've designed it, it's really close to this flash bulb over here. I don't like that, but it is what it is. But I'm going to put a little bit of oil on the pivot point to get it to move a little better. And then we'll put it all back together with the spring and with the coil, and that should get it. Alright, so got it all back together. Let's listen. Oh yeah, that's how you want it. Now notice how the coil is moving a little bit. That's how it's supposed to be. You don't want them super tight. Basically they self-adjust, you know. The problem if you make them real tight is there's only one way for that plunger to go down, and if anything's just slightly off, it ain't gonna work. Okay, so we got that done. We've adjusted our gate a little bit. I put the ramp back on. I tested all the flashers earlier and everything worked. Oh, we got to mess with the flippers, everybody's favorite part. So on the previous video, these flippers, these things were all bent up. So I bent them back, and I was mentioning at the time that by bending those, it moves this plunger, which means that its at rest position is different. So on the front of the on the top of the playfield, it's going to change the angle that the flippers are at. So we need to adjust that. Okay, so on Pinbot, Python Angelo was nice enough to paint on the playfield exactly where he wanted the flippers. Now, wouldn't you know it, they line up with the end lanes like I always put it, and everybody always tells me I'm wrong. But I'm going to adjust those down just a little bit so they line up a little better with his painted on fingers. And the way you do that on these is you loosen that bolt and then spin it a little bit and tighten it back up. Same over here. Now this one has two different flipper coils. If you go back and watch the previous video, you can see the whole saga about that. Okay, folks, we're down to one last major problem that we're trying to figure out, okay? If you hit the test button, the advance button, to go into test, immediately the right kicker locks on. Now, you may have saw it do that in a previous video, okay? If if you don't turn it off, eventually it will blow the one of the fuses, this one here. That is the special solenoid fuse. It's only for the special solenoids, which are these 6 transistors here. These solenoids down here are all the other solenoids in the game. I know all this stuff's complex, but once you mess with it a little bit, you kind of understand what they're doing, right? So it will blow that fuse, and that will just lock on, okay? If you start a game, same thing happens. That one locks on, and it will blow the fuse if you leave it on. If you turn the game off immediately, everything's cool, okay? So the special solenoids have special switches to make them fire. So the way those work are, if you hit the switches on the slingshot, right, the switch connects ground back to the board on this connector here, and then immediately grounds the solenoid, which connects back out this and locks it on. Okay? That's one way it can do it. Also, the computer itself, using the PIA, the peripheral interface adapter, can turn on each of the special solenoids itself, just like the other solenoids. So the way the regular ones work are, like the little kicker up there, or the little saucer up there that knocks the ball out. Whenever the computer wants to, it tells that solenoid it connects that solenoid, the transistor, which grounds the solenoid on the saucer and makes it work, right? So it can do that with the special solenoids too, but they're special solenoids because they have an extra wire that controls them. So the extra wire that controls them is just the switch on the playfield. Now, why would they do it like that? It's because these ones, they want to respond quicker. So they were afraid that, we talked about this in previous videos on other games, but they were afraid that, you know, if the ball lands up there in the saucer, it hits a switch, okay? And then the computer can do whatever it wants to do, play a light show, do math, do a call out, tell you how many points you got, flash a bunch of lights, and then tell the transistor to kick the ball out. Okay, it doesn't have to be a fast occurrence, right? But on a kicker, you want the ball to hit it, and immediately you want the solenoid to kick it back out, right? So to do that, they put these switches, basically just trying to make it faster. Now, people have argued that they were kind of unnecessary because the computer's fast enough anyway, that it could read that the switch got hit and then kick the ball, tell it to kick the ball out. Right? But here's the deal. If I unplug the special switches, right? So I've basically unplugged the switches here and the switches there, and then it's also on the 3 pop bumpers, and it's for whatever reason on the left lights on the visor. I guess they just ran out of things to use. if I unplug those switches, we no longer have the problem. Now in the game, that kicker would never fire because when the ball hit the switches, it wouldn't know what was going on. If I go into test mode and go through all of the solenoids, all of them fire, including the right kicker, and the fuse never blows because it never locks on. So there's some kind of problem with the switch. Okay, it could just be that the thing's stuck together. But it's an interesting thing where you have a problem and it's kind of hard to figure out if the board's the problem or the switches are the problem. It can be really confusing. So what I've done is unplugged the switch wiring but left the solenoids plugged in. And if I go into test, like I said, they all work. So if I use my multimeter, this white wire appears to be a ground. If I check between the white wire and these other wires, I've got a lot of resistance, except on this orange and green one, I only have 4 ohms resistance between ground and the orange and green wire. So there's some kind of short somewhere. We need to find the short, or if it's just the switch stuck, or what the deal is, and that should fix the whole game. Okay, so it's hard to see it. So here are the stand-up switches that go through the playfield that the ball hits to make the kicker work, right? And if you see the daylight between those two switches, they are not touching. But if you look down on this other one, see how they're touching? It's hard to see down in there. Is it going to cooperate with us? We're going to have to zoom past it, people. We almost had it. There you go. See that little metal piece that's bent in the middle that's making them touch? So that's the whole thing. So the coil is locking on because that switch is stuck. So we need to make sure that's separated. And now it's worth noting that on a lot of games this wouldn't happen. It's just on System 11 with those special switches. If that switch is stuck, that coil is going to stay on until it blows the fuse. So I also turned this around a little bit. They had this turned so that the diode was touching the metal. It's not a good thing. It's supposed to be out to the side like that one. You can see on some of these they did it with a more rounded one so it doesn't come out and touch the diode, interfere with the diode. Alright, so I'm going to separate that switch, plug all the wires back in, and see if that's got us whole again. Okay folks, I'm going to show you how the difference on the schematics. It's real easy to understand. Solenoid drives. So this pin on this one, this is a regular solenoid, connects to one of the coils. We'll say like the out hole kicker. The kicker and the out hole. That wire connects to one side of the coil. The other side of the coil is connected to power all the time. So it's like 30 volts or something. Okay? So this tip 122, which you can replace with a tip 102, they're a little more robust, right? Is connected to the coil and ground. This is a ground. See how the ground is going to each one of them? Okay? And so this is the signal from basically the PCB, the CPU through the PIA is going to hit this, and it goes through this 7408 here, right? And then this little pre-driver, and they're doing all of this to isolate the big bunch of voltage that's going to potentially be running through this transistor. If you try to just control it with a 7400, it would burn it up, right? So they use a pre-driver and then the big driver to sync the ground because it'll handle more amps, right? So the computer says, hey, it's time to kick the ball out, rise and shine. And it sends the signal, makes it go either high or low, whatever. Sends the signal to this 7408, right? And then we've got this blinking signal here that's the other side of it there, the pin 2. And it makes it sync, or I guess sync, which makes this 2N4401, the pre-driver, makes it sync, or whatever, and that turns on the transistor, which connects the coil to ground. So since the other side of the coil has power, bam, the coil's a dead short, and it violently pulls in. It basically makes it an electromagnet. It pulls the plunger into the middle of the winding of the wire, which makes whatever movement you need to happen on the machine happen. the little plunger go in and kick the ball out into the out lane if it's the out hole one, or the pop bumper pop or whatever, right? You're getting that movement that you want. So that's how a regular solenoid transistor works. So let me show you the so-called special solenoid ones. Okay, so here's a special one. So it basically works the same. The computer tells through the PIA, through this line, it tells the 7402, hey, go ahead and sync that transistor. And so it does. It syncs the pre-driver, which is the 2N4401, just like we were just looking at, which turns on the big transistor, which connects ground, solenoid ground, right, to the coil, which is output. This was our right kicker. But the solenoid transistors, I mean the special solenoids, have a different setup. They also have this line here. So this is the switch from like the right kicker. And so that's usually high because of this pull-up resistor here, I guess, right? And then if that gets grounded because the switch is stuck or the switch is connected, okay, it sends a ground on that, which grounds that chip itself, but it just cut out the whole rest of the board. It's a shortcut. It's just grounding it and grounding the transistor itself almost immediately, right? So it's really good for pop bumpers and slingshots and stuff like that. That's how they've done it. Now, why is it only doing it? Here's the tricky part. Why is it only doing it when I start a game or when I go into test? It's because of this down here. If this relay doesn't come on, you don't get ground to the transistors. I believe that's what's going on here. That almost looks like it's connected to ground, but I don't think it is. What is FGR1 and FGR2? What's that all about? FGR1, FGR2. Let me figure out what those are. Okay, so this ground already exists on the board. So the ground is always on the transistors. This just, whenever this pulls in, it's just connecting ground to here, which is the flipper grounds. Okay, so it's just the flipper relay that turns on the flippers. So it appears that what's going on is they just have the blinking signal, which is this line here. But one of these lines is the blinking signal. So basically they just have the blinking signal on. If you're not in gameplay, none of the special solenoids will work. But strangely, some of the other solenoids will work if you're just in a track, because they have to get the flashers to work. They have to get the motor to work, and they want to be able to control things during a track. But that's all stuff that it can turn on and off. So, but for whatever reason, these just didn't work until we go into gameplay. So why did it do it when I went into test mode? It's because when you're in test mode, it turns on the ability, at least, for all of the coils to turn on, so that you can test them. So whenever you go into the coil test, it wants all of these to be active. So it's turned off I guess the blinking line, so that can happen. So it's just a strange thing that it does it when you go into test, but it's immediately, as soon as you go into test, because I guess it's immediately killing the blinking line so you can test some coils. And then it's immediately whenever you start the game, because it's immediately got everything enabled. So these are like, I think this one was our right kicker, and this might be the left kicker, and the bottom pop bumper, middle top pop bumper, right top pop, right pop-a bumper, thump-a bumper. So simple as that. So that's a situation where it looked like something was screwed up on the board, but there's nothing wrong with anything. It's literally just this switch line was stuck. Easy peasy, people. All right, now we need to play it a little bit and find out what else is broke on it. All right, we're going to play it a little bit the most boring possible way, with the glass off and the lights on. Oh, oh God. Circuits activated. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Dribbled it right by me. Oop, nope. This has the Pinball Pro sound system in it. I see you. Oh, about lost it. Boy, the flippers are nice and snappy. Look at that. Look at me cradling it. Nice and snappy flippers. I hit the wrong one. I need the red ones. There's the game already. Well, it was a good attempt. Boy, all of the flashers are working and everything. Look at that. Look! Oh, come on, come on! I guess I could start tilting it. Whoop. Oh, I forgot there's a ramp. I should be trying to make the ramp shot. You'll all want to see that. Look at it. They gave me the... They opened it out of pity. I didn't hit all of those targets. He's in my control. Oh, it bounced back out. I don't see how anybody plays these with the lights on. What the good God? What are you doing? Whoa, popcorn. They always feel so clunky with the glass off, too. Circuits activated. Bonus activated and stuff. Oh, straight out the out hole. The out lane. Give me the multi-ball opportunity again. Oh, oh, out the out lane. Well, so far, I have seen a switch and a light bulb that doesn't work. Not quite. Knocker even worked, matched. Cool. Cool. Whoop, nope, what? Make it? Nope, not quite. It's perfectly balanced. If I do it just right, maybe it'll go to the right. Nope. Nope. I found the key. What in the world? What did you guys do? There. You know, now that I think about it, I think I had that problem before, where if that thing's too tight, the ball can't get through there. We'll have to keep our eye on that. Whoa, saved by the Kirk post. Missed it. Missed it. Missed it. Missed it. Whoop, not quite. Almost. Got it. Nope, missed it. I am in your control. Boom. Bank shot.
Now I see you.
Well, my multi-ball lasted 5 seconds. Intergalactic. Oh, I scissored it. Not good. Alright, now we're going to play it how it was meant to be played. Alright, now I turned up the sound a little bit. I got the glass back on it, cut the lights off. Now,
I see you.
you can argue about the lights being on or off, but you can't argue the glass. The games always play better with the glass on them.
Lock circuit activated.
Boop, boop, boop. Look at those flashes. I didn't even notice those before. Woo! Well, our ramp seems to be fine. It just got stuck because I didn't hit it all the way up that one time. Oh, there we went out that thing. I'm not too good at the skill shot. Missed it. Oh, they gave it to me.
I am in your control.
Mm-hmm. Oh, not quite. It was smart of them to make a multi-ball that's so easy to start. That's brilliant. So easy to understand what you're supposed to do. And it's the kind of thing people would point out to each other in the arcade or whatever. No, that opens up there. If you hit it, it opens up. That's one. I couldn't tell what he said. Oh, wrong one. I need to go in the left one. Whoa, about lost it. It's kind of hard to make that shot with a direct hit because the ball will bounce back out. They gave it to me so easy and then took it away so quickly. So cool. All right, one more game. So leave your comments down below. Let us know what you think. Make sure to check out my brother Donnie, which is my brother's channel here on YouTube. If you like watching us work on these old pinball machines, he and I often work on old vehicles, old buildings, all kinds of cool stuff. Go check that out. My brother Donnie.
I am in your control.
Oh, missed. Oh, missed. Got the left one.
Now I see you.
Get back in there. Look, it's gonna take it. Look. So cool, man. Open up. Oh, I lost it. That's pretty good for ball one. All right, we'd like to thank everybody too that's been using our Amazon links. If you don't know about that, down below there's a link to Amazon. If you're going to buy anything on Amazon, if you click our link to go to Amazon, it gives us a piece of whatever you buy. So we appreciate everybody that's been doing that. My camera battery's about to die, so we'll play this till the battery dies. I think our left flipper's sticking, people. Energy transferred. Boom! The flipper button's getting stuck. Oh, missed it. Missed it by that much. Tried to double up.
Now I see you.
It's alive! Oh, come on now. It robbed me. I was robbed. I was robbed. I was...